Hello everyone. So now we are moving on to week number 9. So it will be the last quarter for the course for you to learn more topics. And for this week, we just want to finish off the remaining 2 topics about classes and objects. One will be static variables, and the other one is about helper methods, which will be both important for widening your knowledge about OOP. Which you can definitely look at the details for the lecture videos. And as normal, just 2 hours of lectures, no more, no less. Let me speak about the topics very quickly, and then also learning objectives as usual, and then off you go, you can do the work. For this week, we'll talk about, first of all, the static variables over here. So that will be the first part. Oh, over here. So that will be the first part. Static variables, especially we'll learn about syntax, and you have to see what the difference is between static versus non-static variables, and especially their semantics, what they really meant. And the best way to really understand about the semantics is about visualizing the variables, static versus non-static. You will see the details in the lecture. And we'll talk about one useful application about static variable, which is about automatic generation of account IDs, unique IDs, so you don't really have to pass manually. That's something you can see as well. And then we talk about 2 possible errors you can actually make for static variables. The first one is about static counter, and for this one here, recall the programming pattern that we have been doing between week number 7 and week number 8, especially week number 8 tutorial videos. We talk about how you can declare reference type multi-value attributes, especially primitive arrays. And if you have such an array, normally you actually got accompanied by a integer counter. What if the integer counter is not really non-static, as we have been showing you? What if it's actually static? And would that work? So that's really the topic over here, right? And then we talk about another very common error that you will see in any programming IDE. It's called referencing non-static variables in a static method or static context. So that's something I will also speak about in detail. It's definitely something later when you actually mix the non-static and static variables in the same program. You really have to be sure using them in the appropriate context. So that's something I would like to talk about as well. And after that, we're going to talk about the final topic for helper methods. Is really to remove code smell. It's more like an informal term. We say that when you got repetitions in your program, the same fragment of code actually has been recurring in your code for many times, multiple times. That would be a very bad practice to have. And people say your code smells if you got repetitions. And the way to remove the repetitions or to remove the smell is by defining helper methods and replace every occurrence of the repetition by a call to the helper method. So that's something you will see. I actually gave you 3 examples over there, and also did the exercise together with you on Eclipse. So that's something you can follow along, like a mini tutorial. Okay, and then we got, as usual, we got our notes annotation. And for this week, notice this. For this week, the tutorial video temporarily is going to be departed from Eclipse. For this week, we're going to see some useful application for using OOP in the context of mobile computing. Especially, we're going to see how you can build mobile app using Android Studio, which is another learning outcome about event-driven programming for this course. And for this one here, we're going to use Android Studio. And only for week number 9 Java tutorial videos, we're going to use Android Studio. And then back to once we start week number 10, 11, and 12 to finish off the semester, we'll go back to Eclipse to show more topics about 2-dimensional arrays and also Java API library. So that will be the plan. Okay, but for your lab number 7 and lab number 8, you will actually need to complete them by developing apps in Android Studio. All right, for the slides, we're still focusing on lecture number 4, classes and objects. Just make sure, please, re-download the slide. I did some minor updates just to improve the typography for the slides. And also post your question on the Google Doc as usual. And then for the source code, I also updated that with the helper method. So you can just re-download and re-import again into your workspace. And for the written notes, it's really no new notes. However, it's really important to emphasize that you have to make sure you complete the written notes about how you can declare and manipulate multi-value reference type attributes, and especially a point and point collector class. That's something you want to make sure you study carefully, and then you will actually come back to you, maybe either for your programming test and also your exam and also the written test. Make sure you study that. And for the extra practice, I think we're pretty much reaching the end for the Winter 19 tutorial video. So if you really want to do more OOP basics walkthrough, you can definitely follow through 34 to 46. But if you found if you have found our week number 6 to week number 8 Java tutorial sufficient, that's fine. All right, I'll leave the choice to you. All right, let me talk about the learning objectives and also milestone very quickly. Okay. Right, as I said, we're going to talk about static versus non-static variables. You will see the detail in the lecture. And also how you can generating account IDs automatically using static variables. And we'll see what if the counter for the multi-value or array type attributes is actually static rather than non-static. What will be the consequence of that? And also, this will be the common error I want to show you as well. And you will also see the example in the slides. And I will encourage you to really try this example also in the Eclipse, which I didn't do deliberately. So you really want to try it yourself. So you want to make sure you don't really encounter such mistake. All right, and then finally we talk about code smell and how you can get rid of it using helper methods, right? And helper methods is really a very broad topic. It's not just about OOP, not really restricted to just OOP. It's really a way to refactor your code based on experience. And typically, you wouldn't do helper methods in the first instance for your first version of the code. It's typically after you have completed a working version of your code, and then you can improve it by eliminating repetitions. So that's what helper methods will do. So I can only show you some principle and also some examples. Exactly how you do it for your code is completely up to you. But feel free to speak to me if you're not too sure how to define helper methods for your particular application. I can possibly give you some advice. All right, and then for the milestone for this week, for week number 9, you're going to start with lab number 7. You're given 2 weeks. However, don't really wait until late. So lab number 7 does require you to install the Android Studio and also to follow through the 2-hour tutorial video to show you the complete developments for 2 apps. And also you have to read through the instructions, and also you got to develop the model classes. You got to develop the controller, and also you have to test the app, right? Quite many things over there for you to experience in the lab. So please start early. All right, for the weekly tutorial, week number 9. And then for lecture series, week 9, and also for the written notes I just spoke about, and then for extra tutorial videos if you wish about OOP, that's there you go. All the resources are there, so it will be up to you to really to see how much you really want to dedicate into. All right, so that's about week number 9, pretty standard week, and then we got final 4 weeks for the semester. We just got a few more important topics to cover, namely 2-dimensional arrays and also the Java API classes. I would say the 2-dimensional arrays lecture will be fun because we're going to solve some interesting problem that's kind of generalize what you did for the 1-dimensional arrays. That's something we'll see in both the tutorial videos, and also I think you will also develop some lab, hopefully related to I'll finalize that later. And also the Java tutorial as well. We'll start with the 2-dimensional arrays from week number 10 Java tutorial videos. All right, off you go and do the work. If you got any trouble, as ever, just get in touch with me, and then I'll try my best to help you. Take care.